Welcome back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm John Napier, publisher of Daily Thunder, and I'll be your host today. Alongside me, as always, is Daily Thunder beat writer Brandon Rabar. Brandon, how are you this week?
I'm good. The Thunder are 7-0, and I'm excited to talk some OKC ball.
Yeah, well, last week you yet again predicted a perfect week, and yet again Oklahoma City delivered. Every win by double digits, and only one opponent managed to score over 100. Brandon, what are your takeaways from these last four games?
The Thunder's defense is nuts. The Thunder's defense is just insane. Like, we knew coming into the season that the Thunder could have a really special defense. And we knew that Alex Caruso would kind of take this defense to another level. Swapping out Giddey with Caruso, we knew this defense was going to be really good. But we kind of thought, they're missing Isaiah Hartenstein, though. So they don't have another big besides Chet, and, we may see some struggles with rim protection when Chet's not on the floor. So far, 7 games in, that has not been an issue. It doesn't matter who the Thunder throw out there as a backup big, whether it's Ousmane Dieng, whether it's Alex Caruso. He had a really funny comment about that postgame the other night. So what stood out to me the most about, this group of games was definitely the defense.
Yeah, and the defense has been historically good so far. The team has a defensive rating of 93.4, which would be the best in history for any team after the three-point line was introduced. Second best all time. Obviously, that's not sustainable, but, what do you think is sustainable? What kind of defense do you think the Thunder could have? Or could we have a sub-100 defensive rating over the season?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really in the realm of possibility. Some of this is, it's a small sample size, but, these steals and blocks are not by coincidence. Now, some of this, the schedule is going to get tougher. The Thunder are going to play tougher teams, better offenses, but they're also going to get Isaiah Hartenstein back as well. So I think that some of that will kind of balance out. What the level they're playing out right now is just nuts. It's crazy to think that they can continue at this level over 82 games. But even if, that plateaus some, comes down some, I still think a defensive rating under 100, which would be nuts in this era, I still think that is probable, I will even say, more so than even possible.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the other teams that have had really good defensive ratings, those often happened in seasons where the offense across the league was down. It's often coupled where they have an offensive rating of below 100 too. So it's pretty historic what the Thunder are doing with an offensive rating above 100, defensive rating this low. What do you think is the most impressive win, though, that they had this last week?
This last week, I would say it would be the Clippers, just because they didn't play exactly a real tough schedule this week. The Magic without Paulo, obviously. What stood out to me about the Clippers was, this was LA desperate for a home win. And despite not having Kawhi Leonard, they still have a really good defense. They have good role players, and they played really well for a half. Like, the Clippers wanted that game. They played really well, and it just didn't matter. The second half, the Thunder just blitzed them and took over a game and just ended up dominating a game that, I think some Thunder fans were probably nervous about at halftime, especially since it was like the double dip game. Like, not only do you want to keep the, win streak going and stay atop of the Western Conference standings, but you want to give the Clippers a loss so that they stay atop the Tankathon standings. So I think there are some nerves there that could be the first loss after the way that the Clippers played. But yeah, to me, it's so funny because they haven't had a close game. To me, that was kind of the closest game they've played so far, and they still end up winning by double digits.
Yeah, and they've had close moments in games, and I think something we've seen from the team is their ability to just have a gear they could turn on and outclass opponents and run away. We saw that against the Clippers. I think there were points where the game was close and then the team started to pull away. We really saw it against the Blazers. As an example, with 9:46 to go in the third quarter, the score was 72-72. By the end of that quarter, Oklahoma City led 106-85. They closed the quarter on a 34-13 run. So we've talked about the team's ability to flip a switch. But what do you think the secret is to this? Is this how the team is built, not as a team that just kind of grinds away to win games, but through shock and awe can just run away from opponents whenever they want?
It does seem like they can just flip a switch. We've seen that a few times. We saw that in the Hawks game. We saw that, of course, like we said, in the Clippers game. It seems like there's this second half intensity. I don't want to say that they're like playing with their food. Like, I mean, this is a very, very good Thunder team, but I still don't think that, you know, any team in the NBA really is at a level where you're playing with your food. These are still, all these teams are good. You know, the Hawks are a good team. The Clippers are still a solid team. They have talent. All these teams have talent. So, but I think that there is something to say about being able to, like, okay, this is a close game, and now we can just blitz this team, and it comes in spurts. Like all of a sudden, for instance, against the Magic, it was a 16-point game, and Isaiah Joe hit 3 threes in like a minute and a half span, and all of a sudden, it's a 24-point game because the Magic scored 1 point over that Isaiah Joe run. So all of a sudden it was like, Thunder winning this comfortably to, oh, this is a blowout, like in an instant. So I think between the offensive talent that they have and then how they can just blitz teams on defense when they turn it up a notch. And it's funny to say turn it up a notch because this team is always deflecting balls, always diving on loose balls, coming up with steals and blocks. But it really does seem like they can kind of turn it on to a different level. And we've seen that a few times already early in the season.
Yeah, it's what I've really noticed. It seems like they dial up the pressure on defense, and that really does translate into turnovers and offense. And then the run just sort of starts from there, and they overwhelm their opponents. And it has been a team effort, too, among players averaging at least 10 minutes per game. Oklahoma City has 4 of the top 5 in defensive ratings among players, 7 of the top 14. But who has been your defensive MVP so far?
Well, that's tough. Look, Alex Caruso has been incredible in his minutes. He plays about 20 minutes and just comes in and causes chaos. And I do think he's taken this team defense to another level. Lou Dort, of course, has been outstanding. I think Casey Wallace has been the most underrated defender. Jalen Williams is leading the team in steals, but I'd have to go with Chet Holmgren. He's anchoring the defense. He's protecting the rim. He's second in the league in blocks per game. And he shuts off the paint. He deters so many shots at the rim. And when you have these perimeter defenders, if you somehow are able to, get around Lou Dort or Alex Caruso or Casey Wallace, this wall of defenders, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, that the Thunder can throw at you, you got Chet at the rim. And whether he's kind of playing a free safety role like weak side, whether he's playing, the primary 5, whatever he's doing, he's protecting the paint. He's been the anchor. So I'd have to go, like, Chet has gone to another level, like his physicality, his aggression at the rim. So I'd have to go with Chet. As great as the perimeter defenders are, I think that Chet's holding it down in the middle.
Well, someone you didn't mention is A.J. Mitchell. He's on that list of top defensive ratings. He's 4th currently in the league in defensive rating among players with 10 minutes or more per game. He's appeared in every game. Are you surprised to see Mitchell get so many minutes in the way that he's played?
Yeah, so I thought I was being, kind of ahead of the curve. Early on in preseason predictions, I would say that, hey, I think that A.J. Mitchell and Dylan Jones are going to be in this rotation from, day one. But I said, I think they'll get, minutes here and there. They're not going to play every night. This will be like, they'll be in the rotation. They'll also be in the G League. So I'd like to say I called the shot on A.J. Mitchell, but he is by far exceeding my expectations as far as playing every single night. And these aren't garbage time minutes. He's actually playing real minutes, real rotation minutes, first halves. I mean, sometimes first quarters. He's playing real minutes, and he's playing really well. Like you said, the defensive rating. But I think on offense, just kind of as a connector piece and as kind of a secondary playmaker for the bench unit, we've seen him on ball. We've seen him create. Some of his finishes at the rim, we saw that in college. It's translating to the NBA. He's not afraid to shoot. He's not shy. The moment's not too big. It's funny. He's a second-round rookie from a small school on a 2-way contract. He's playing on a 7-0 contender, and he's getting real minutes, and he's it's not too big for him. Like, he's embracing the moment. So I've been really, really impressed with AJ Mitchell, and yes, surprised by how many minutes he's playing.
So we've talked a lot about all the positives, especially focusing on the defensive side of the ball. I think maybe if you look closely, you can see some issues offensively. The offense stagnates at times. I think that was evident in a few games this last week, especially against the Magic. I really thought the team would be better offensively. We knew the Magic would be really bad offensively themselves, but there were moments where the ball would not go in the basket. They had issues generating shots. We've seen in other games a lot of shot clock violations. Diagnose for us, are there offensive issues that we should be a little bit concerned about?
I think some of it's just the Thunder are kind of trying some things out on offense. I think that, we've seen it with, Shea's three-point volume for sure, and some of his pull-up threes and things like that. I think that, some of that is, guys like Casey Wallace expanding his game, which I think is a good thing ultimately, and I think he's been really good in that. But some of the mid-range shots are going to some of the, role players that we haven't seen as often before. So I don't think right now it's this well-oiled, machine that we saw last year. Shea was scoring 31 points every single night. He's 5 or 6 points below that right now. His efficiency isn't quite what it was. We've seen an uptick in Jalen Williams scoring and his efficiency lately, and his three-point percentage is going up. Also, just kind of across the board, everybody's three-point percentage is down except for Lou Dortz. So I think some of it's shooting variance. I think some of it's just kind of trying some things out. I think when Isaiah Hartenstein comes in, they'll also, that's going to be another part of this offensive cog that they'll have to implement and get used to. Alex Caruso isn't shooting nearly like what he did last season. So I think someone's just kind of figuring out. I think they share the wealth so much. Like, they are so unselfish. Some of that, I think that's ultimately a good thing. But then sometimes the most efficient shot is still if, Shea takes a few more shots, J-Dub takes a few more shots, Chet takes a few more shots. But I think the end game, the end goal for what they're going for, trying this out and sharing the wealth is a good thing. But there'll be some rough patches probably along the way.
We're shouting out some different people on the roster. I'm going to mention Leons. The team waived Alex Reese, signed Leons. What do you think the team is doing with that 15th roster spot?
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I really like Leons. He's what we've seen of him so far, preseason training camp and all that. He's a really solid, good defender. And so I think he's got a little upside there. I think that right now, as the Thunder wait for Isaiah to come back, that the backup big minutes are kind of in flux, and they're just kind of using that spot to give a couple guys that they like tryouts basically. And, I don't know if he'll hold on to that spot, if ultimately they go another way. But right now I think it's just kind of having another big, kind of break glass in case of emergency type of situation. I think that they like Reese. I think that they like Leons, and they want to give both kind of a shot in the big leagues. So I think that's mostly what it is. We haven't really seen either of them play any real minutes. They've played garbage time minutes because they haven't needed to go to, I don't even know what to call that. It's not really a backup big. It's like a fourth string big because they're playing even without Hart. They're playing kind of Oos as the backup big right now. And if they had to, they're playing like J-Dub and Caruso and whoever else, spin the wheel and you're the backup big for tonight, Dylan Jones. So I guess kind of a break glass in case of emergency big.
Well, the team did make sure that Leons got the chance to bark during a post-game interview. On the topic of post-game interviews, Draymond Green criticized the Thunder's regular tradition of having multiple players or even the entire team in those interviews. And I'm going to quote Draymond on a podcast. He said, "The one thing I see about the OKC team that's alarming to me is their postgame. 7 guys in the interview. There's a certain seriousness it takes to win in this league, and there's a certain fear you have to instill in teams in order to win. I just don't know if they're instilling that fear in teams with all the bromance and stuff after the game." I'm going to make you uncomfortable here and ask you to put forth your best argument in support of Draymond's comments.
In support of it?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see what you can do.
Even if I completely disagree with it.
Yep, twist yourself into a knot here.
Okay, I mean, I guess in support of it, the only thing I can say to Draymond is he has won several games, or I'm sorry, several titles, as not being super.
You're
friendly.
struggling. You are really struggling here. I can tell.
I completely disagree with him. So I'm trying to. Okay, so I guess what I would say was he does have experience winning titles, and from what we've seen, he's never been the nicest dude on the court. A lot of times to his own teammates. So maybe he knows what he's talking about there. Now somebody's going to take that out of context and
that's the snip that we're going to take from this and post it
Right.
on social media. As
Right.
Brandon agrees with Draymond's comments there, but I don't know. I guess if you were to give him credit for something, you could say that it worked for the Warriors. Maybe they did instill some fear in their opponents, but I don't think it's necessarily because there wasn't love among the players. It was probably because Draymond was kicking people between their legs that instilled fear in other players.
Yeah. I don't think that Draymond is the guy that I'd look to for advice as far as like team chemistry goes. Personally, that's me.
Yeah. I mean, he did punch a teammate, so we both know he says some dumb things, and that was a dumb thing to say.
I'm just looking forward to that next Thunder Warriors game that's coming up this weekend. Actually, especially since I think the Warriors they've only had one loss so far, but they've played such an easy schedule, and now they have the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Cavs back to back to back. So we'll see what their team chemistry versus the Thunder team chemistry looks like this weekend.
Well, you got a little ahead. We were going to talk about the week ahead and the Thunder's opponents there. We do know the Warriors are on the list. Let's start, though, with tonight's game. Oklahoma City goes back to Denver to face off against the Nuggets. Preview this game. Is this the one that finally ends the Thunder 7-0 start, or will they continue to play well and play the Nuggets really well?
Yeah, they play the Nuggets really well. And, before the news of the Aaron Gordon injury and the Jamal Murray concussion, you'd have to say, like, okay, well, a rematch in Denver seems like the Thunder are due for, kind of a letdown game. The Nuggets will be out for revenge for the opening night loss. They still have Jokic, but without Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray, and they already have such incredible depth issues. So their second best player right now is Michael Porter Jr., and he's been so up and down this year. Russ has been better as a starting point guard the last couple games than he was coming off the bench. But, X factor, obviously, one way or the other. Christian Brown, I don't see it. As great as Jokic is, and even with this team being at home in Denver, I do not see them being the team without Gordon and Jamal Murray that knocks off the Thunder for the first time. I don't see it.
So Oklahoma City gets to 8-0. Cleveland is also 8-0. Who loses first?
Okay, so I looked this up because I was curious about the schedule, and I think that the Thunder have a tougher schedule in as far as upcoming games. Because if you look at the Cavs schedule, they have the Pelicans right now who are not playing well at all, and Zion Williamson is questionable for tonight. Alvarado is questionable. I don't see them losing that. Then they have the Warriors, but it's at home. Then they have the Nets. Even though they've been feisty, that should be a win. Then they have the Bulls. That should be a win. So I have the Cavs in all four of those games. Then they have the 76ers in Philly. Joel Embiid should be back by then. I have that as the first loss I can the first one I would say okay, I think they're going to lose that game. That is November 13th. Then I look at the Thunder schedule. I think it's tougher because they have, the Nuggets tonight, even without Gordon and Murray, it's still the Nuggets and Jokic. Then they have the Rockets at home. Rockets have been feisty. You never know. Warriors at home. I think the Thunder beat them, but the Warriors have been much better than anticipated this year. Then the Clippers at home. That's a win. Then the Pelicans at home. That should be a win. But none of these teams are easy. There's no Nets in this lineup. No Bulls in this lineup. And then the Thunder have the Suns and the Mavs on the 15th and 17th. So I'm thinking one of those games, but that is after the Cavs play the 76ers. So my real quick analysis is the Thunder last a little bit longer than the Cavs do. Said that they'll probably both lose tonight in upsets.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. I mean, you've been on fire with your predictions. You keep predicting the Thunder to win games. They keep winning games. Sounds like you're expecting another 4-0 week ahead over the next 4 games. What do you think are, the things that could potentially catch the Thunder off guard, maybe against the Rockets or the Warriors? You seem to dismiss the Clippers as being real competition.
I have a hard time seeing the Clippers without Kawhi beating the Thunder at home. The Rockets are fight. You never know which Jalen Green you're going to get. You never know which Jabari Smith Jr. you're going to get. There's so many players that are X factors on that team. Like Dylan Brooks could go 0 for 8 from 3, or he could go 5 for 7 from 3 any given night. They play really good defense. They seem to always play the Thunder pretty well for some reason. In Houston, though, they don't typically play the Thunder well in OKC. The Warriors, they've been better this year. I do think some of that is schedule, but it's still Steph Curry, and they are deeper this year. And Buddy Hield has been phenomenal off the bench for them this year. If Buddy and Steph get hot, I have a hard time seeing it against this Thunder team with the defense, but you never know. Those two guys could get hot. So those are potential hiccups, I think. Just like the X factor of the Rockets, you never know which team you're going to get, and then the X factor of the shooting variants of Steph and Buddy.
So let's look around the league a little bit. Are there any other teams out there that are surprising you? I think I would be a little surprised that the Cavs have started off so hot. There have been a lot of good teams. Even the Celtics have lost games. What would be your surprise of the season outside of any Thunder thing related?
Yeah, as far as the East goes, obviously the Bucks struggling this much, even without Chris Middleton, is very surprising. They are last place in the East right now. They're tied with the Utah Jazz right now. I think some of that will course correct. They're too talented to be down there for that long. I think on the opposite end, the Brooklyn Nets were supposed to be one of the worst teams of all time, according to some YouTube videos. But they're 4-4, and they've been feisty. They've played some good teams really well, and they've been competitive. So I think the Nets, I think that'll probably come back down to earth at some point, and they'll be in the Cooper flag race. But right now, they're playing really well. As far as the West goes, I mean, you have to say the Nuggets, even though they're 4-3 now, most of their wins have been against the likes of the Raptors, the Nets in overtime or by 2 points, 1 bucket. So I'd have to go with them as far as disappointing teams. And then, the Suns look really good. They look really much improved. I think if a team's going to knock out one of those top 4 teams, everybody predicted the Thunder, Wolves, Mavs, Nuggets in some sort of order as the top 4 in the West. I think the Nuggets, especially with this Aaron Gordon injury and then also just playing how they've been playing, I don't see them as a top 4 team right now. I think the Suns will take one of those top 4 home court advantage spots. They look much better so far this year.
Yeah, they've looked really good. For the next topic, I don't really want to put the Thunder fan base on blast here, but there have been 3 home games, only one of which has been a sellout. The other 2 games have had about 17,000 with paid attendance. Where are the people? Are they still thinking there's football going on? I mean, OU's not good. OSU is bad. Where's everybody?
I don't. That's surprising to me because I've been at every home game and they've looked like mostly full crowds. I'd have to go through the schedule. I can't remember who they've played on what nights and things like that. What teams they've had on what nights of the week and things like that. But I mean, it's been loud in there, and I've thought it was pretty full. So that's just surprising to me. Being in the arena, I haven't felt that myself. I mean, typically though, yeah, I think that usually as the season goes on and football season kind of goes away, you'll see more people at the games, and definitely more marquee teams that the Thunder will play, more marquee star players that the Thunder are playing against. I know the home opener was the Hawks. Who else have they played at home so far? Gosh, I'm having a hard time.
Spurs and the Magic.
Yeah, well, the Magic, without Paulo, kind of makes sense. The Spurs, they have Wemby, but, they're not exactly, a top-tier team right now. So, yeah, I think that, when the Lakers come to town, I definitely say when the Warriors come to town this weekend and things like that, the arena will be full.
And credit where credit's due. You acknowledge the people who are showing up are loud and proud and giving Oklahoma City that typical home court advantage.
Yeah, they really have been. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I won't criticize the fan base any more than that. Let's close and do some rankings.
Fun.
Let's rank your top 5 Thunder players so far this year based on their performance.
Whoo, that's good. That's fun. That's tough. It's tough to pick between Chet and SGA. Ultimately, as the season goes on, it's going to be SGA. Early on in the season, I might go with Chet so far early on this season. I don't know. This is like 1A, 1B. I'll go with Chet 1, SGA 2. I'll go with J-Dub 3. He's kind of got some flack, but if you look at his season numbers, they look really good so far. Like he's scoring really well again. He just had like a couple of down games, and I think people just kind of expect this secondary scoring perfection from J-Dub, and he's kind of filled the stat sheet. Like even when he's not scoring 20 points, he's getting like 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. So I think he's making a big impact. So that may be kind of boring to go with, the big 3 as the top 3, but I do think they've been the 3 best players. Now, I think it gets interesting after that. Lou Dort has actually been really, really good. He hasn't been, quite as hot the last couple of games, but he's been a really consistent 3-point shooter and, of course, bringing the defense as usual. So I would have to go Lou Dort 4th right now. I'm going to go with Cason Wallace 5th. I think Cason has been really, really good. Like his defense and his impact, and I think kind of like the finishing at the rim and what he's kind of expanded his offensive game to. I just feel like he kind of gets overlooked a lot of times, so I'm going to give him the 5th slot.
I like those rankings. I was ready with some notes if you weren't going to include Lou Dort in your top 5 there, or at least, I think 4th is a good spot for him. He's been really good this year. I mean, I've been so impressed with the 3-point shooting. I mean, I think he's 48% this year, which is just incredible. I know that's probably not sustainable, but if he can shoot 40+% from 3 coupled with his defense, that's really incredible. It makes him, a really key cog to this team.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. I'm glad you brought up Lou Dort specifically because he really has 48.4%, and he's shooting high volume again, and obviously doing what he normally does on defense, and that what game was it? Was it the Spurs game? He went 6 of 8 from 3. Yeah, it was the Spurs game. He scored 20 points. He was 6 of 8 from 3. Lou has been really, really good this season so far.
Props to Lou. I think that's a good way to close. Although I have just one more question. How many games will the Dallas Cowboys win this season? Do you think they win any more games?
Oh, my gosh.
I had to bring it back because we did talk about, the Niners-Cowboys game before it was played. 49ers got the best of the Cowboys on that one. I don't know if the Cowboys have been able to recover from that, but it's been a rough season.
It has been a very rough season as a Dallas Cowboys fan. And, the big splash at the trade deadline was Jonathan Mingo for a 4th rounder, so that's great. Let me see real quick if they have any Maine Black Bears on the schedule for the rest of the season. We have the Eagles lost, Texans lost, Commanders definitely lost. Giants, hey, they always beat the Giants. That's a win. Bengals lost, Panthers, okay, as rough as the season's been for this Cowboys team, Panthers, that's a win. So that's 2. Buccaneers, Baker's going to roast us. That's a loss. Eagles again, that's a loss. Commanders, that's another loss. So I have the Cowboys winning 2 more games, which, they should. Jerry Jones won't do it, but he should do what Sam Presti would do and just tank for Cooper Flag here. But they won't do it. They'll squeak out victories over the Giants and Panthers and end up with a 12th pick just out of the lottery.
Well, you have been incredibly good at predicting outcomes, and in the Thunder games, sounds like you're predicting a 5-win season for the Cowboys. I'm going to take that to the betting market based upon your track record to date. But that's all the time we have for today. Sorry to rub a little pour a little salt in your wound there.
No, you weren't. You enjoyed that. You perked up like you were just like normal John all throughout Thunder conversation, and then when you brought up the Cowboys, you perked up a little bit. I heard it. Yeah, I heard it. You enjoyed that.
Yeah, feeling a little good. My fantasy football team's doing a lot better too. It's competitive, so running a little bit higher, and we're going to get Christian McCaffrey back. So there is potential for the Niners rest of this season, and my football viewing is much improved, especially since we got to watch OU play the Maine Black Bears. So just going to play that one and repeat.
Right. Yeah, and I did have one prediction I got wrong, though. You talking about, I have so far, fortunately done well on predictions, but I did say that Isaiah Hartenstein would be back before Christian McCaffrey. So we'll see.
Yeah, good point.
We'll see. Yeah. So that's not looking good right now, but, and until I see CMC actually on the field as a Jordan Mason holder in like all these fantasy leagues. Of course, I hope well for Christian McCaffrey's health. But for fantasy purposes, if he wants to rest that, tendonitis, just rest up for the playoffs. Christian?
We're just going to have to disagree on that one. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm John Napier, host of the podcast. He's Brandon Rabar, Daily Thunder beat writer. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe to the Daily Thunder podcast on your favorite podcast app. And if you like what you hear, please do leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. And we will be back in your feed soon.